Hi, and welcome to the Comfort Zone. I'm Sheryl Corriveau,
And I'm Paula Sullivan.
and today our guest is.
Lynn Schreiner.
So I met Lynn at a networking
Yes.
event, and then we met for coffee,
Mhm.
and it was just such a dynamic conversation. So I know,
And it went by so fast.
so fast. So can you tell us a little bit for our audience, kind of some of your journey and where it began?
Absolutely. So when she asked me to be on the show, she told me it had a little bit to do with entrepreneurship. And my journey to entrepreneurship began when I was 24 years old. I had graduated high school and gone on to college because my parents said that's what you have to do. You have to go to college and get a college education. But I wasn't happy there. And I left school and they said, well, you're going to have to get a full-time job. So I did like any kid would do. I got a full-time job and I was working for a company called Lilly Truck Leasing in Brighton, Massachusetts. And I had a little teeny cubicle with a computer and I sat there every day from 9 to 5, not interacting with people, and I'm a real people person. And I was miserable, let's just say. But I was doing what I needed to do to make the money to pay my bills. And every 2 weeks I would get a paycheck and I would go and get my nails done. And the girl that owned the nail salon, this was back in the 80s, so this was before there were nail salons. If you can remember a day where you had to go to Boston if you wanted to get your nails done. And the girl that did my nails went to high school with me. She was 1 year older than I was, and may she rest in peace, she just passed away in November. She opened a little salon inside of a hair salon. And I went to get my nails done, and it was the highlight of my week when I got my paycheck was to go and get my nails done. And so she said to me one day, you know, you take really good care of your nails in between appointments. You should go and get your nail license and come work for me because I have too many clients and I'm really busy and I could give you some of my business. And the very first thing I said to her was, my dad would kill me. And he's gone now, so I can say it. My dad would kill me. And she said, why? And I said, a nail technician? Like, to me, it was just too lowly of a job, and she probably didn't make enough money. And then she told me what she was making annually, and it was twice
Wow.
what I was making. And I was in the beauty salon. It was a creative environment, and I'm extremely creative as a person. So I entertained the idea, and she said to me, well, don't you pay your own bills? You have your own apartment, you're not living at home, and you're not asking your folks for money, so why don't you come work for me? And the more I thought about the idea and envisioned it in my mind, the more I enjoyed the idea of working in the salon. So that's what I did that summer. I went to school, and I got my nail license, and I went to work for her. And it wasn't very long before we realized we were onto something because she was good at what she did, and I was even better at what I did. Well, she was kind of a party girl and liked to spend late night hours doing fun things
Right.
and dragging herself into work the next day. And so what happened was within about a few months, she realized I can go out and open a salon, leave the hair salon where she was renting a little corner for us, and open a physical space. So we lived in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts, and there was a little tiny storefront available, and it was at a 5-way intersection. So she rented the space. We got a hot pink, like this color pink behind us, hot pink neon sign that said Ladyfingers on an angle, and it lit up the whole square when you went through at night. So your eyes just went right to it. And we had so much business. I literally worked my fingers to the bone. These fingers would bleed by Friday every week
Wow.
because I did all my filing by hand. It was all handcrafted,
Yeah.
and I got really good at it. But she was a little bit of a crazy boss to work for and a crazy business owner. And so it wasn't long before I started to entertain the idea of going out on my own and doing the same thing and duplicating what we were doing there, but for myself. And we had some stuff going on in the salon that made it not so fun to go to work with her being the boss. And she had taken 6 months off and said, I'm going to give you all my business to work on. And she was getting 50% of what I was making. So if I made $100, she kept 50 of it, and I got to keep 50 of it for my income plus whatever I made for tips. So we were going through a kind of a rocky stage where she was doing drugs and smoking, and it was just, that's just not my style.
Yeah.
And the clients were all coming to me. She had given me all of her clients to do. So it would be like going to your hairdresser and having somebody else say, oh, she's not going to do your hair today. She's going to do your hair today. And at first they were a little put off, but they realized that I did a really good job on their nails and they lasted better. So those clients wanted to stick with me, and she wanted to come back to work and take them back without asking them. She just wanted to have them, show up for an appointment and say, oh, I'm back. I'm doing your nails today. And when she asked me how I felt about that, I said, Claire, she saw my face, and I said, Claire, they're paying you. They should be able to choose who they go to. They're the client. You can't just tell them they have to go to you. So she didn't like that. And that Friday, this was on a Monday that this happened. And I'm sorry, it was a Friday. And over the weekend, I started thinking of, I think I want to start looking for a place to rent in a hair salon, kind of small, like she had, where I got in my start. And my roots, pardon the pun. And I was laying by a swimming pool at an apartment complex that a friend of mine lived in on Monday. And we were having, this friend also worked in the salon, and she wasn't happy with the environment either. And she said to me, I think that's a good idea. You should start looking for a space. I'll go with you. If you go, I'll come work for you. And this woman got up and walked over to our chair and said, I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but hi, my name's Carla, which is kind of funny because the other person was Claire. Hi, my name's Carla. I own Salon OG, and it's like 2 miles down the street on the same road that you're in now. I would love to rent you a space if you want to come and, check it out.
Wow.
So I'm 24 years old. I have no degree in business or anything. I just have this desire to do this on my own. So cut to the chase, that's what I ended up doing. And by the following Friday, Claire fired me because she didn't like my attitude. So it was all just meant to be, and it worked out perfectly. So I moved down the avenue, opened up business at this little hair salon in the corner, and I ended up being busier than the person that owned the hair salon.
Oh my God.
So it was a little awkward and uncomfortable because the owner of the salon and the guy that worked for her, the other hairstylist, they're sitting around all day, like waiting for clients to come in, and I'm like, next, So really busy, and but here's a part that's really important. And I've since learned how important it is to envision things first, and how everything we create with our mind by thinking about it first.
I love that show.
Yeah, me too.
Holding it in our mind, and then it's like magically the pieces that we need start to appear. So I had an apartment that I would drive from where I was. The existing salon was in Watertown, and my apartment was in Arlington. And on my way home, on my route home, every night I would drive down a street called Lake Street in Arlington, and it would come out to a, not a dead end, but come out to Mass Ave, which ran from Cambridge, to Arlington to Lexington. And dead straight ahead, it's kind of like a T. So Lake Street pulls up, and dead straight ahead, there was this little storefront with a front sign. And every day I would envision a hot pink awning and a cute little nail salon being in that location. And one day I got the courage. Keep in mind, again, I'm 24. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just have the desire. And the front sign's in the window, and I have no concept of how much commercial real estate costs to rent. And there was a parking space right out front. So I got bold, pulled up, got out of the car, and walked up to the window and peeked in and looked around. And I could just picture, okay, I could put the couch over here and this many nail tables and stuff. So I got the courage up to pick up the phone and call and tell the guy that was leasing the space, this is what I want to do. And within 2 months, I had a nail salon with a hot pink awning.
Oh my God.
And the funding for it, because again, all the pieces line up. The funding for it had, not tragically, but had come from a car accident that I had a year before. I had a bad car accident and split my head open and got a $33,000 insurance settlement out of it. So that money, I said to my dad, I want to take that money and open a business.
Yeah.
So that was my journey into becoming, and I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was.
Wow.
I
What
just,
was the name of the salon?
Oh, that was a whole nother mistake. It's a very funny story. So, you sit down with your family and your friends and you tell them you're starting a business and what do you think I should call it? and a lot of things were taken. So down down the street, there was a hair salon called L'Elegance. And it sounded so French and so fun. So I threw out the idea, how about I call it Nail-Elegance? so that's what it became, Nail-Elegance. So it was Nail, one word, Agance, Egance, with the little, what do you call the punctuation mark above the E. Huge mistake. I'll never forget this one woman calling, and I answered the phone. Good afternoon, Nail-Elegance. Can I help you? And she said, "What? What'd you say? Nails and eggs?" And I'm not kidding. Nails and eggs. And
how long did you keep it?
It got butchered. The name got butchered all the time. So we had that location, and I just like 2 weeks ago got to visit that location for the first time in 30 years.
No.
I was in Somerville with my husband at Union Square Donuts, one of our new favorite haunts, and we were driving back, and there's a little clothing store there now, and it was open. So I made him pull over.
Yeah.
And I went in and I told the store owner, I used to have a nail salon here 30 years ago. So, and it was very fun to visit it.
How many years did you have the salon?
So we had that salon for 1 year, and then we moved when the lease was up there, because parking was really, I learned a lesson about parking too. If you own a business, you have to have parking. That was the biggest issue with that location, was lack of parking. So we moved up the avenue, rented another spot for a year. Then I got pregnant. I was just recently married, got pregnant with my first child. And after I finished out that lease, I said to the girls that were my employees, I really don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a mom. And they said, no, you can't close. Like, how about we all go in together, move to another location, rename it, and we'll split it 3 ways. So that's what we did. And I did that for a year. And then the solutions would always show up when I would need them. Then my daughter was, almost a year old, and it was getting difficult because I was living a 45-minute drive to and from the shop. And now I had a 1-year-old. So my clients loved me so much that one of them said, here's the keys to my house. You can set up your nail table in my house once a week, and you just do my nails for free, and you could, have all day. I'm not home.
my God.
So I ended up actually having 2 clients give me keys to their houses and let me just set up my table, and I still have that portable manicuring table in my home. I still have it all these years later. So I did it. I did that, that journey for a few years, and then I finally got to the point where I said, if you guys want your nails done, you have to come to me. You have to come to my house in Ashland. Drive to me. I can't do this anymore. I've got kids. And there was a time when I'd be sitting at the table with a toddler hanging off my back, trying to keep them happy while I'm trying to file somebody's nails. And so
Oh my goodness.
I did it for about 15 years. And my last location, as my kids I ended up getting divorced, and I'm happily remarried. And my last location was the year that 9/11 happened. And I had still been doing nails, and one day driving down the street, decided, I think I want to do this again. And in Ashland, where I lived, there was a little spot for rent, and ironically, it was right next to a real estate office. So I ended up renting that space. We had it only 6 months before the tragedy of 9/11 happened. And after that happened, everybody stopped getting their nails done because they didn't need to spend the money. And I don't know if you remember how panicky everybody was about the economy and what's going to happen in the world. So we ended up, after 6 months, I was kind of burned out on doing it and needed a break. My shoulder, it's a tough business physically. And I also couldn't make any more money because if I'm holding your hands, I can't hold your hands too. And I can't do 2 clients at the same time. So my income was capped. And I tried a few other things. Took a job selling advertising for Super Coops because the woman came into my salon to try to sell me advertising, and instead I sold her on hiring me to work with the company.
Harry loves to hear that.
To work with
Sales.
Well, the thing was, it was a brick and mortar location that I had, and I had to physically be there all the time, and I was getting tired of it. And she came in and tried to sell me advertising, and I said, "You seem like you love what you do." And she said, I have the best job ever. I'm out, I'm meeting people. And that really spoke to me because I love to meet people. And so the next thing you know, within a month, I had talked myself into a job selling advertising for Super Coops, assuming I would love it as much as Susan loved it. But the problem was I didn't because I didn't believe in the product enough. My wealth mentality was so much lower then.
Yeah.
You know, I was making $900 a week doing people's nails. So to spend $800 or $900 on an advertisement that went out once, to me that was just mind-boggling financially. So I couldn't sell the product because I didn't believe in it, and I was kind of struggling. And the people that had the real estate office next door to my nail salon had said to me when they first met me, "You'd make a great real estate agent. You should get your real estate license." So I had obtained my real estate license, but I wasn't using it. And after the Super Coops fiasco happened, I was just at a point where I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to go back to doing nails. I had shut down my business. Now I'm working in a job that's giving me a salary, but I'm hating it and I'm miserable. So I prayed about it. I remember getting down on my knees and asking God to show me, what else can I do? Because I can't think of anything. And literally said that prayer. It was a Sunday night, and within an hour, my children's stepmother, who was a friend of mine, called me, and she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I'm just miserable, and I don't know what to do." And she said, "Well, you have your real estate license. Why don't you do rentals like I do?" And I had never thought of that part of real estate. I had the license, but I was always thinking, I'm going to sell houses. So she said, "Why don't you do rentals?" And again, back to how, everything is supported in life. 3 years prior to that phone conversation, a friend had asked me to be a model in an ad for a clothing store. And at the photo shoot, I met there was a woman there. Her daughter was in the ad with me. And I remembered the woman saying that she owned a real estate company called Places Real Estate. And I thought it was such a catchy name. So I always remembered that name. And I remember her telling me that she did rentals because I remember telling her that, oh, my friend does rentals. So I'm familiar with that part of real estate. So I got all excited. Sunday night, I got the yellow pages out. So that's how long ago it was. We didn't have Google.
How many years ago was that?
Well, I got my license in 2001, so it was almost 19 years ago. So I got the phone book out, looked up Places Real Estate, called and left a voice message, and she said, "Can you come in tomorrow?" And I did, and I had no idea how the real estate business worked. I didn't know how you made your money. And she said, "You can make this much, or you can make this much. It's all commission. It's up to you." So my first day on the job, basically what they did was they advertised in the newspaper. Again, the internet wasn't super, super popular yet. They advertised in the newspaper for apartments for rent. And then whatever people called became my clients during my phone time. So I had a 4-hour phone shift. Anybody that called, I could turn them into clients, and I would make a commission if I successfully found them a place to live. This guy from Alabama calls at 11:30. My shift ended at 12. And he said, "Hello, ma'am. I'm really having a hard time finding a place to live. Can you please help me?" And terrible accent, I know. So I said to him, "Well, what's the problem?" And he said, "Well, I have a dog, and nobody wants to rent to me because of my dog." So I said, "Well, what kind of dog is it?" Figuring it's got to be something bad. And he said, "Well, that's the thing. It's a Rottweiler. And I guess that nobody likes Rottweilers in Massachusetts. And they're calling it a vicious dog, but it's the sweetest dog ever." So with that, the people that are the peanut gallery in my office, they hear me say the word Rottweiler, and they're like, "You're not going to be able to help him. Hang up. You can't help him. Nobody's going to take a Rottweiler." So I'm, doing this, like trying to shush them so I could hear him and have our conversation. And I said to him, "Well, I have in the listing book, there's a 3-bedroom in Ashland. I know you only needed a 1-bedroom, and you said that this is your price range. But there's this one, and it says dog's okay. Do you want me to call and ask about the dog?" And he said, "Yeah, if you can find me a place, I'll come take a look at it." So I called, introduced myself to the woman. Her name was Mary Ellen DeChico, and she's answered the phone like I call it the poodle voice. "Hello," in this sleepy, I just woke up soft voice. And I'm thinking, oh, this is never going to work, but what the heck, So I said to her, I introduced myself. I have a guy's got a dog. "Well, that depends. What kind of dog is it?" And I'm thinking, she's never going to say yes. And I said, "Well, that's the thing. It's a Rottweiler." And all of a sudden, her voice goes up as if she woke up, and she says, oh my God, they're the sweetest dogs in the world. I used to train Rottweilers. They get the
wow.
worst rap. I would
Aw.
love to have a Rottweiler living next door to me. Tell him
Oh.
I'll walk the dog, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
oh, okay, how's 12 o'clock? You know.
Yeah.
So, and I met him after my phone shift, and he rented that apartment, and I made my first commission as a real estate agent.
Oh my
And I never looked
God.
back. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And now how long has it
So,
been?
2001. So it's 2019. So, yeah, going on
Wow.
19 years. It seems like.
Yeah.
So I've had 2 serious careers: the real estate business, the nail business, and then the real estate business. So
And it
Yeah.
sounds like it was all led from just, it was like synchronicity.
absolutely, everything is. You know, you get this idea, and the more you entertain the idea, the more you start to meet the people, and the help comes. When I opened my nail salon, I did not know what I was doing. But every piece that I needed, somebody would guide me along the way. Oh, you need to incorporate. You need to, go to the state board. You need to have this license and that license and Board of Health, and you got to pay taxes, and everything I needed showed up when I needed it, and it always has.
So what's
Yeah.
happening now? What's showing up now? What's going on? Because
Well,
I'm sure you've always got something good going on. I
Well-
mean, you've been in real estate, but I'm sure that's exciting and it's evolving. And
It is. But I was just telling Sheryl that, like, secretly in the back of my mind, I picture myself owning a little quilt shop, because I've always
Wow.
been a seamstress
Yep.
since I was little, and I'm very creative, and
Yeah.
I just love the feeling of a quilt shop, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today when I was in the hair salon that I go to earlier today. I was thinking how I miss that environment of employee, getting up every day and going where you see a group of people. Because I'm with my dog and my cats, and
Yeah.
I do a lot of networking. That's how I met Sheryl. But other than that, I'm home.
Yes.
So part of me
Yes.
thinks, as I'm getting older, it would be nice to
Yeah.
have like something to get up every day to look forward to, like going to, like a destination where I see some
Yes.
people and have a fun atmosphere and stuff. So, but we'll see. I've had one brick and mortar business or a few different locations, so
Yeah.
I've been down that road before, and it's not an easy road to go down. So,
Yeah.
so we'll see.
You mentioned like your visualization practice. Is this like a daily routine that you have, or how does it work for you?
Truth be told, I completely understand it, and I actually have run vision board workshops for women, and because I understand that everything is the mind. I'm also a certified coach, so everything is your mind. Everything starts with a thought. You have the thought. If you entertain that thought again and again and again, you end up creating something in life. And if you don't entertain the thought over and over again, then nothing happens. So everything we do in life, we thought about doing this show, and here we are.
Yeah.
I thought about getting a bottle of water out of my car before I came in, and here it is.
I know, it's
I
so
thought
true.
about blow drying my hair, and then I blow dried my hair.
Right.
Everything we do starts with what we think first.
Yes, but people don't take it to that level of their career or their future or their.
Well,
they
here's the
take-
thing. Here's the
they
thing I
don't-
learned. This is the most important part: is we stop at the how. We have a thought. I want to do this thing. Oh, but I don't know how, so I guess I can't do it. We want to know the whole thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We want to know the whole thing before it's created, and that's
Yeah.
not how God works.
Yeah.
He gives you like
Yes.
a foot,
Yes.
and you have to take the foot and step out in faith, and then the next thing will show up, and that's what
Yes.
faith is all about.
Yeah.
It's faith is believing in what you can't see,
Right.
not what you can see.
Yeah.
So it's super important to take steps, and you might take a step in a certain direction and then realize, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And I did that when
But
I had
it's
my
okay.
I forgot to mention, in between the nail salon and the real estate, I got my hairdressing license because I got this brilliant idea that if I got my hairdressing
Dynamic.
license, well, I thought I already have my nail clients. I can
Yeah.
become their hairdresser too, and I can charge more money and make. That was my plan to increase my income, was to do their hair. So at 38 years old, I went and got my hairdressing license. I went to vocational technical school with 16-year-old kids every day for a year.
Get
Yeah, I went to
out.
Keefe Tech High School in Framingham.
Oh my God.
And then I
That's so
finished, got
cool.
my hairdressing license, got a job in a salon, and thought, I don't want to do this. I don't love this. This isn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And it cost me $10,000 to get that license of schooling. And it was best life lesson to say, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
I have the courage to walk away because
Yeah.
this is not what I want. So,
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
could you ever picture? I know you talk about quilts, but could you ever? You're so smart with the coaching. Could that ever become a brick and mortar for you?
coaching, no,
Coaching?
coaching isn't really a brick and mortar business.
Could it
It's
ever
more
be
done.
a wellness? I mean, could you ever see
I
doing
could.
something like that?
I couldn't be honest with you. I've tried a couple of times, but I get
Uh-huh.
all hung up in the marketing pieces and
Mm-hmm.
all that organization stuff. And I
Yeah.
like to be out and meet people and be really creative.
Yeah.
And I've tried a few times. I've
Yeah.
done a little bit with coaching, and it might be in the future. I'm not really sure yet. You know, I
Yeah.
take my life a day at a time. And
Yeah.
I love your attitude.
Yeah.
thanks. I'm happy every day. I wake up
Yeah.
happy every day, and
Yeah.
happiness is a choice. It's not your circumstances. It's really just an outlook on life.
Yeah.
So.
Now, how'd you get so happy? Reading, or you just always naturally? I mean,
Personal
where did-
development
yeah.
books. Church was a
Yeah.
huge thing for me. I started going to church 20 years ago, and that was a big missing piece for me. I used to think happiness would come from fur coats, which I bought a lot of, Louis Vuitton purses, material things. I had because that's what the world teaches you is big house, fancy schmancy stuff, labels, and you'll be happy. And that's so not true.
Right,
I
yep.
was so unhappy. I had a
So
lot of
right.
credit card debt,
Yeah.
and that was not the right
Yeah.
path. And I used to say there was like the little kid's spherical toy that you put the star, the moon, the block, the circle, the triangle that babies play with.
Yeah.
I used to say there was like a God-shaped hole in me that I kept trying to stuff everything
Yeah.
else into
Yeah.
because I didn't have a spirituality.
Right.
I didn't have
Yeah.
an
A
I didn't have an
relationship.
understanding of other human beings. I always thought that we're all individuals. And it's
That's
like
the
me
big
again, and
lie.
it's like me against you.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
Yeah, they
oh
were
no, I'm
all-
here to
oh,
help
yeah.
you. I'm
Oh,
here to
yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to reach that threshold and
Yeah.
cross it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have a minute. So if
Okay.
anyone wanted to get in touch with you, Lynn, how could they
Sure.
get in touch with you?
Well, my website for real estate is lynnmoves.com, LYNNMOVES.com, for the right move at the right time. And all my contact information is on that website.
Nice. Now, are you on social media too, or
I am. I do more. My social media presence is just basically Facebook, and it's my
Okay.
personal Facebook
Yeah.
page. But the best way for somebody to reach out to me would be through my website,
Nice.
and my email is lynn@lynnmoves.com. So it's
Oh,
pretty, and it's
easy.
LYNN. There's no E on the N. So
Okay.
LYNN.
it's LYNN? Why did I
Yeah.
always think it was one N?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I accept all versions.
It's good, right?
Yeah, I answer to Lynn in any way.
This was like so inspiring.
Yeah.
I just
Good.
and I know we're gonna run out of time, but your faith is like when did that become alive for you?
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
2 days after Christmas, 1999. I found my church. Yep.
And what is it?
Yeah.
What brought you there? Was it there a real low point, or just
A
just
really
knew?
handsome guy.
Oh,
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Whole nother story.
I gotta have you on again for, the next, for that story.
I met him on Christmas Day in my living room. So
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Was his name Santa? Did he have a big
No,
sack?
no.
Oh my God. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, stay out of your comfort zone.